Y'all get ready?
Yes, you get ready.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Hey tea sippers, happy Sunday, happy first of the month. I cannot believe how quick November went by. Hope you guys are doing good today. So I wanted to come on here and kind of talk about something outside of celebrity news, and I'm glad that you guys really enjoyed my Black Friday video. It has me wanting to talk about other things as well. So one of the things I wanted to hit on that's been on my mind lately is convenience culture, especially being that the holidays are right around the corner, and this is something that we are all guilty of, so don't feel bad. I am including myself in this, okay? So when I was growing up, and many of you guys were growing up, for us, conveniences were things like going through a drive-thru and getting some fast food because you didn't want to eat what was at home or you didn't feel like cooking.
Oh, I just want a chicken nugget and some fries.
You got McDonald's money, I don't got time.
Let's just go back to the house, alright?
Told you that the food at the house is fine.
Wait till you find out that I was lying.
You was what?
None.
Another convenience could have been something as simple as sending your kid to the store because you didn't feel like driving to the store. So you'd be like, here goes $5, run to the store, go get me this, this, and that, okay? But now in modern times, those same conveniences have definitely upgraded, and they're starting to cause a lot of issues in everyday society. I want to hit on the true cost of convenience, okay? Because new things always come to us in the guise of convenience, and it works out first, but then it eventually blows up in our faces, okay? So what exactly is convenience culture? It can be defined as a philosophy of outsourcing labor in the pursuit of making daily life easier. It encourages outsourcing of everyday tasks that were once considered a part of our normal day-to-day lives. This has led to the creation of an entire industry dedicated to convenience. From ready meals in the supermarket to ordering toilet paper online with just a click of a button. Basically, the world has turned into its own personal microwave services. Your smartphone literally does everything for you, and in the pursuit of convenience, we have now turned into consumerists. Horrible consumerists at that, okay? So now what's very interesting with the rise of convenience culture and tech and everything else is that a lot of these conveniences came to us, you know, in the form of cheaper prices. Remember when Netflix first came out, the convenience of Netflix was that you didn't have to go to the Red Box, you didn't have to go to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video and go rent a video.
You watch Netflix on your PC or on your TV through a game console or other devices connected to the internet.
Wow, that's fast.
Best of all, Netflix is only $8 a month.
And you had, you know, a full library of movies, okay? So that was one of the conveniences that came out. Then a few years later, we got Amazon Prime. And back when Amazon Prime came out, I believe it was $49.99. And back then, you got Amazon Music, you got Prime Video, and you got overnight shipping.
Have you heard the news? There's more to Prime than free. 2-day shipping on shoes. There are tons of movies ready to stream. It's like living in a film lover's dream. More to Prime.
So anything you watched on Prime was part of the Prime package. It was free for you to watch, and it made it convenient because we spent our time on Amazon anyway shopping. Then we fast forward a few more years and we started getting ride-sharing apps like Uber and Lyft. I remember when I first took my first ride-sharing app, this was back in 2014 when I first moved to LA. And, you know, Uber and Lyft were a big thing out there. Here in the Twin Cities, we have it, but it's not as big of a deal as it is in major cities like LA and New York, Miami, and things like that. And I remember Uber was so cheap back then. Like I could get a ride from LAX all the way to the Valley for literally $10. And you could even split the ride with people as well. Well, now just to go up the street can sometimes cost you $10. I mean, Uber has doubled in price.
We know everyone could use some extra cash. Whether you're working to supplement your income or save for a vacation, we have a dedicated team in cities across the country working hard to help you get on the road and earning as quickly as possible.
And when you hit the road, we'll make sure you always know the best times and places to drive. Our goal is to help you maximize your earnings while driving with Uber.
And if you need us, we have support options that are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We want you to know that Uber has your back.
I remember when I was in New Orleans not too long ago, I took an Uber from the New Orleans airport to my hotel room, which was probably like a 10-minute drive, and it cost me $40. I was shocked. And I had assumed that this money was going, to the Uber drivers. The lady that was driving me was telling me that it's not going to them. It's going to the app. It's not like they're getting a high percentage of the money that Uber is raising and charging us. It's not going to the drivers. It's going back to Uber. Another thing that we also had in the guise of cheap convenience was a lot of these eating apps like Grubhub and Uber Eats. And when those first came out, they were cheap. You could order your fast food meal and have a stranger bring it to you. If you were out of town and you really didn't know the area like that, or if you didn't feel like leaving your hotel room, you could just order Grubhub and they'd be there within about 30 minutes. So everything was very, very convenient. But then all of a sudden, the prices just started rising. And one of the big culprits was Airbnb. I remember when I first started using Airbnb, this was again around 2014 when I moved to LA. And back then, Airbnb, they used to charge about $75 to around $90 a night. It was always cheaper than what the hotels would be charging you back then. You never saw anything on Airbnb for over $100 a night when it first came out. And that was the guise of that convenience. You could be in a whole home. There's a kitchen, there's laundry, a washer, there's laundry facilities, there's a washer and dryer in the apartment. Unlike hotels, all you got was a room. You're lucky if there was a mini refrigerator in a hotel room. So a lot of people liked Airbnbs because it was a way for them to make money, and then you got more bang for your buck. So all of these convenience apps, they basically merged as the ultimate solution for our busy lives. With just a tap, you could have your favorite meal delivered. You could watch Netflix in your hotel room or your Airbnb. And then if you decide to go out clubbing or wanted to check out the town, all you have to do is pull up the Uber app or the Lyft app and be there within a matter of minutes. So these apps were marketed as a tool to make our lives easier, but they also made us more reliant on these instant solutions as well. So these services, they came in the guise of illusion, but if you really break down what these services are about, they're not as convenient as we realize. It's more complicated, especially for the workers. This created a whole gig economy, right? So we live in a day and age where everything is about hustle culture and having a side hustle. So the gig economy was spawned because a lot of these apps. And it made it where people could, set their own times. They could be Uber drivers. They could be Grubhub drivers. They could become, little mini millionaires by renting out their apartments and renting out their homes via Airbnb. So it caused a whole gig economy, and a lot of people were making good money during the height of the whole Airbnb hustle, but a lot of other people were not making the money that they thought they would make, and they were having to put more time into their side gig, just to try and make ends meet.
The gig economy is killing people. An international group of delivery workers have published information that, for the first time, is starting to show the scale of the problem. They've collected the stories of 14 people who've died whilst working for platforms. But why are these workers dying? Is it their fault? No. Platform workers are usually paid per delivery. And over the last few years, wages have been driven down to poverty levels. Now that means if you want to make a decent wage, you've got to go faster and faster. If you want to make a living, you've got to risk your life. This is capitalism, baby. We're all told that we're free and equal, but in reality, the working class have to risk their lives for the profits of the ruling class.
This may sound like a technicality, but it's essential to the way these companies function. Unsurprisingly, when faced with a 2020 California ballot initiative, Prop 22, which would exempt companies like Uber from a state law that would have required these companies to treat workers like formal employees, DoorDash, Lyft, Uber, Instacart, and Postmates spent $204 million on a publicity campaign supporting it. See, if somebody is your employee, you're obligated to provide things like overtime, bargaining rights, and healthcare. According to the Seattle Times, classifying your workforce as independent contractors instead can save companies 30% or more on labor costs. And for companies that were definitely not all making a profit, this would have made their tenuous situations even more slippery. In the end, nearly 60% of voters agreed that all the bells and whistles of formal employment were unnecessary, especially if it jacked up prices on services they had come to rely on. The sheer amount of money poured into this campaign made Prop 22 the most expensive ballot initiative in US history, and arguably, it paid off. Except not for workers though. Definitely didn't pay off for them. In this way, we can see the gig economy as being emblematic of a bigger shift in the power of labor. As sociologist Alexandria Ravenel concluded, for all its app-enabled modernity, the gig economy resembles the early industrial age. The sharing economy is truly a movement forward to the past.
So it went from like a fun side hustle to having to be a full-time job just to break even. And let's not get started on the wear and tear on people's cars and vehicles and people throwing up in people's cars and even the safety issues that arose from Uber and Lyft. You have people who are literally working 10 to 12-hour days just to make ends meet. And these apps take a huge cut and the tips aren't always guaranteed. So that's another thing as well. So for many Uber and Lyft drivers, the entire situation is very frustrating and very tiring. So because of this, what customers don't realize is that the convenience of this comes with hidden fees. You have inflated prices and you have a growing dependency on these apps, but also the restaurant business is also suffering because they're losing up to 30% off of each order because of the app's commissions. So a lot of people who have small businesses and small restaurants that are not chains, they're taking a huge loss when they're putting their food on Grubhub, on Uber Eats, because the apps are taking the majority of the money.
Uber Eats screws everyone. Let me give you an example. If I want to get a pad thai from the noodle box near where I live, it costs $11.45. However, if I go onto the Uber Eats app, I can buy it for $14.08. And this is before they charge me $2.99 for a delivery fee on top of another 10% as a service charge. To buy the exact same meal through Uber Eats, I end up spending $7 more than I needed to. That's over 50% of the original cost of my food. But this doesn't just suck for widow me because there is drivers involved who we know are getting screwed. The restaurants often lose money on those Uber Eats meals, and even the app itself is operating at a loss.
Another thing with the ride-sharing realities is the fact that they have really affected the transportation industry. What a lot of people don't realize is that when Uber and Lyft first came out, again, they came out as a cheaper alternative. You didn't have to hail a taxi. You just, hit it on the app. And then these people showed up. And what ended up happening is that Uber and Lyft drove a lot of taxi companies out of business. It also affected the public transportation as well. Because more people felt like, well, why should I have to get on the train with a bunch of strangers when I can just jump in somebody's car? So a lot of the trains in major cities have lost revenue. Also, on top of that, let's not forget the bus companies. They have lost a lot of major revenue as well. So these ride-sharing apps have definitely affected major businesses. And the buses are a lot cheaper to take than the app now. Because before, when the apps came out, that was the whole point. It's cheaper. You can get there quicker. You don't have to deal with crackheads and, just weirdos on the train or the bus. But now those Uber apps are not cheap. These Lyft rides are not cheap. So people are starting to see the reality of these apps. Now let's go back to Airbnb once again. One of the biggest issues with Airbnb for the people who were, allowing their homes and apartments and condos to be rented out was the fees. They started tacking on more and more fees, and then in turn, they had to charge the consumers to offset the fees that Airbnb kept charging. So now it's like this huge clusterfuck where the Airbnb market is literally crashing before our eyes. And one of the ways that the hotel industry has fought back, especially the Marriott. So shout out to you if you're a Marriott Bonvoy member, because I sure am. Places like Marriott and Hilton stepped their damn game up. So now when you stay at a Marriott, a lot of those Marriotts come with, partial kitchens. So they'll have stoves and pots and pans and spoons and everything else. So it's not just a room, it's almost like a mini suite, which I love. So now I tend to stay more at a Marriott hotel. As long as it has a kitchenette area, I'll stay there. Whenever I'm in LA, I refuse to stay in any Airbnb just because of the drama that went down a few years ago. So that's one of the ways that the hotels have been fighting back, because hotels lost a lot of revenue during the heyday of Airbnbs. But another thing that took a toll during the whole hype of the Airbnbs were neighborhoods. You had people literally getting put out of their homes because the landlords decided it was more lucrative to turn the home into an Airbnb. Why charge somebody $1,000 a month for rent when I can charge somebody $300-400 a night per day?
My landlord had tried to sell the home a year ago. There were realtors and prospective buyers coming into the house. I'm staring at them and talk about how they're going to turn my home into an Airbnb and displace me and my family.
Like many places in America, Renee Mejia's hometown of Newburgh, New York, is rapidly getting more expensive.
This is like the neighborhood I wanted to highlight that they call the Newburgh Renaissance. $15 burgers, like $8 drinks and stuff like that.
One force helping drive this change, in Newburgh as elsewhere, is one of Silicon Valley's darlings. A company bringing in record profits while driving up rental and home prices, Airbnb. But across the country, the Wild West regulation-free environment that allowed Airbnb to turn millions of affordable homes and apartments into short-term rentals is changing, as communities target Airbnb and push cities to crack down.
The Bozeman tensions are heating up over short-term rentals.
Dallas, Philadelphia, New Orleans just passed recent regulations.
New York is going to begin enforcing a new law that regulates Airbnb rentals.
Over 20,000 listings that disappear after today.
But not all policies are created equal, and Airbnb is not going quietly.
So a lot of people were kicked out of their apartments. People were buying up properties, and all they were doing was turning them into Airbnbs. So it caused a lot of homelessness to rise in a lot of major cities. So the Airbnb problem took a huge toll on the housing. And this is why we have so many housing issues right now, because of Airbnbs. And it's like housing was not supposed to turn into a hustle. Housing is something that everybody here in America needs. People need affordable housing, but a lot of that is slim to none because of Airbnb. Another issue with convenience culture is the fact that it causes us to spend more than we really need, because we're constantly thinking, well, we're getting a discount, especially when you think about Amazon Prime. I can't tell you how many times I've literally been shopping on Prime half sleep, not even realizing what I'm ordering, and literally the next day is a bunch of boxes at my door. And it's just all types of nonsense. Not saying that I didn't need it, but it's just like you're ordering it because you know it's free. It's free shipping. That word free is in your mind, and it just lets me know how much we've been spoiled over the years. When we were growing up and you bought something through a catalog before the whole online situation, you knew that if you ordered something through a catalog, or if you called a 1-800 number to place an order for an item, it was going to take about a week to come. That was the standard. It took about a week, and if you ordered something from overseas, you knew it could take about a month to come. But because of Amazon Prime, it spoiled us. And it made us feel like, everything should be here within 24 to 48 hours. If I see it online, it should be at my door in less than 2 days. So what that did, that put a strain on the Amazon workers. You had people having to pee in bottles. They weren't getting proper breaks. They were going through hell just to bring us our packages.
Since he has so much money, you might think working for him is a good thing. But according to new reports from Business Insider, working in an Amazon warehouse sucks. Big time. Apparently, there's a lot of pressure. The workers are given really tough quotas for restocking the shelves or pulling products, to the point where people can't even take a bathroom break. Instead, they're peeing in bottles, and then just leaving the pee bottles in warehouse trash cans. And this isn't just a case of one person telling Business Insider that and them just running with it. Many employees from many different Amazon warehouses around the globe all reported the same thing. They're timed on how many items they collect for delivery, and they have to collect a certain amount, otherwise they get in trouble with a manager. Employees told Business Insider that if they even stop to get a drink, talk to coworkers, or just take too long finding an item to collect in the giant warehouses, those things are known as time-off tasks. And if you have too many of those, you can get fired.
And because of the whole Amazon Prime situation, it's basically a dopamine hit. It feeds into our dopamine-driven behaviors. And now we've conditioned ourselves to expect things immediately. We have now turned into an entire microwave society. So what happens now is that it's affected our ability, to delay gratification or even appreciate the effort. We just assume things should be here and they should be here now. And if they're not here now, we're throwing a fit, we're calling phone numbers, we're trying to find out where's our item. And once we get it, a lot of times that item that you bought that was convenient because it was free shipping ends up just collecting dust in the corner. But it looks so beautiful to you online that you had to have it. Another downside is also our health and well-being. We're more stagnant than ever. You have people who use an app for everything. They don't want to work. They don't want to walk to the corner store. They don't want to get up and cook. They don't want to clean. You can even hire maids online. Go on Thumbtack and hire somebody to come clean your house. You can, hire somebody to come cook for you. You can send somebody to the store because now on top of them bringing you food, you can have them go to CVS. You can have these drivers go to Walmart for you and pick up everything. So you never really have to leave your house. I told myself in 2025, I'm going to cut a lot of these streaming services. I'm over it. Again, a lot of these streaming apps came to us in the guise of convenience. They told us to cut the cable cords. We're way more cheaper than cable. So a lot of us got rid of cable. I didn't. I did keep cable. But still, a lot of people got rid of cable and jumped on Netflix or jumped on Amazon Prime. And what pisses me off with Amazon Prime is that I went to go watch a show the other day that my friend was telling me about called From. I've never heard of it, and she was raving about it, how much she liked it. And I'm like, oh, I have Amazon Prime. I want to check it out. I go to watch it, and it tells me that I have to buy AMC Plus for $2.99 a month. Why would I sit here and pay for another streaming service when I'm already paying you Amazon Prime? Why do y'all have videos on your platform that when you click on it, you then have to pay another amount for another streaming service? Disney Plus, when it first came out, it was like $5 or $6.99. Now it's about $10 to $12. I pay for YouTube ad-free because the ads got so crazy on YouTube. So it's like we're paying so much for all these subscriptions and streaming services. It is nuts. So again, they come in as cheap alternatives and then they get us hooked and then they just turn around and just flip the game on us and switch it up. So all of these damn conveniences are getting on my nerves. Even Adobe, at this point to, get the latest Adobe suite, everything is now a subscription model. So now you have to pay a subscription for the Adobe Cloud to use Adobe Premiere or Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Lightroom. It's all subscription based now. So, okay, I'm done. I ranted and raved about convenience culture and subscriptions. So let me know. I want to hear from the tea sippers. I want to know y'all's thoughts on this. Am I the only person who feels like a lot of these apps, a lot of these companies played in our faces? And then once we got comfortable with their conveniences, the low prices, they did a bait and switched. They basically played us for the okie doke. And now because a lot of us have become addicted to these conveniences, they're basically able to keep raising rates and, taking away services and adding fees. It's so frustrating. And don't get me started on when you try to cancel a subscription. They make it so hard to cancel. They'll have it hidden in the corner and then you'll hit cancel. It'll take you to a whole nother page. At this point, I just call my credit card company and I just dispute the charges because it is ridiculous that you can't even cancel freely for some of these apps. But again, enough about me. I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you guys think about convenience culture, all these apps and subscriptions and everything else. Let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. Let me know your thoughts on everything. I hope you guys enjoy this video. And if you guys want me to break down more topics like this, definitely let me know down below. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day and I'll talk to y'all later. Deuces.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.